This week I learned I am justified in my lack of going to the cinema these days. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as August is quickly coming to a close. Been a very interesting week. We're getting to it as usual. Begin like always with what am I reading, guys? I'm about, I don't know, 50-ish% through Disquiet Gods by Christopher Ruocchio. I told you guys that a Sun Eater book usually takes me a good 2 to 3 weeks to read, so I would expect very much new stuff on here. What I'll say about this is I have reached that point in a Sun Eater book that I usually get to, since about book 2, where I start questioning, am I smart enough to be reading this book? I start to question my intelligence levels a little bit. And when I say that, people always assume that means I'm not liking it or that it's not good. No, it's effing brilliant, guys. It's really good. It's just I am very much a surface level reader when it comes to science fiction. I think it's years of reading Star Wars and things like that where I am not used to the deep dive. I'm not used to having to reread a chapter after I finish it because there might be a greater meaning that I am missing. So that's something with me. It's taking nothing away from this series. I think this series is magnificent, as you do know, but there are several times where I'm like, well, it's a good thing I know the author so I can call him and ask him to explain it to me like I'm some kind of small child. And he graciously does do that. But I try not to abuse that lifeline too much because I don't want Christopher thinking I don't like the series. I do love the series quite a bit. And with this there's some stuff going on right now. I'm like, I don't know where he's going with this. And that's what makes it really great. I can see why this book might be, is very much, it seems to be people's least favorite or their absolute favorite in the series. So I think there's some stuff coming up. I'm on chapter 38. I have been told chapter 40 is when something happens that completely either takes the series to it ascends to a higher level, or it might break things for you. So we'll see. I'm hoping he doesn't have a Dark Tower moment here. But with me, I think with this is there are so many complex ideas and stuff that he presents in these books that for me, I have to take the smaller bites. I have to chew my food. I have to reread things. I have to question things. And sometimes when I do get an explanation from him or big-time fans of the series, it wasn't quite what I interpreted it as. And I don't know if there is an actual finite answer here or if it's some things that are left up to your interpretation. With this, I'm in a state right now with the book where I'm very confused on some things that's going on. The Watcher stuff might be a little bit over my head. And I've actually kind of talked to Christopher about a couple of things with that. But with this, what I'll say is this is why I can't wait for his fantasy series, you guys, because there is a stretch of this book where you're at Imperial Court and it's peak. It's amazing. It's so good. I think he is so awesome at that stuff. It's what made Demon in White maybe my favorite in the series because he did so much stuff with the Imperial Court and Selene, characters like that, and the Emperor, and it was just so good. No different here. I think it's very much like on a Song of Ice and Fire level how he does his court politics. I love it, and that's why I say I cannot wait for his fantasy series because I think it's going to be awesome, and I hope we get more of that. I think book 7 is probably going to be a lot more of the pew. You know, I think we're going to have at least obviously one big battle still to come. But with this, it's like the battles are good. Never take that away from them. The ideas, otherworldly, and sometimes it takes me a little while to kind of process that. But again, I think that gets misconstrued as I don't like the series. I absolutely love the series. I just might be a different, but I can't listen to it at 3 speed and understand everything. I have to really slowly take my time with this because it does require a little bit more thought than like, say, a Red Rising book does. And that's not a shot at Red Rising. I love Red Rising, but there's ever a point where I'm like, did that actually happen right now? So I think for someone like myself that's never read Gene Wolfe, clearly there's going to be some things that is foreign to a reader like myself, and I think it makes you smarter, but it also makes you feel dumber at the same time. At least that's how I feel a little bit. But I think he's written a really great book here, and I'm at the halfway point, and I'm kind of waiting to see this part that everyone's been warning about. Part of it's like, I wish you guys would stop telling me a chapter number where I'm supposed to expect something great, but I also am like, okay, well, at least now I'm prepared. For I think the first year of this channel, I had everyone telling me how awful Crossroads of Twilight was by Wheel of Time. And when I got to it, I was like, it's fine. It wasn't as bad as you said. It was neither as bad as it was said, but it also wasn't good. But with this, I'm not really, that's not the comparison that I want to make, really. But I think I just want to kind of get that across that just because I say that something is confusing doesn't mean I don't think it's great. Malazan's confusing, and I think it's got some really great stuff in it. So confusing doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means sometimes it requires a little more thought, and I might have to discuss some things sometimes to kind of work my way through the meaning of all them. But what am I going to read? Well, guys, it's just going to be the second half of Disquiet Gods. I don't imagine that I'm going to fly through the rest of it. For whatever reason, the series isn't exactly bingeable to me. I think it's like I just said, because I need to slow down, I need to process, need to understand what I just read, and take my time with it, and not rush it. Not because again, where's the fire? Where's the race? I'm not racing against anything here. There's no clock. I mean, the end of the month? I've got until August 31st, I guess. I don't think that the Sun Eater Please are going to come get me if I don't finish by August the 31st. Did I say September the 31st? Nah, I do that sometimes. Is there a September 31st? I struggle sometimes with 30th or 31. I know February has 28, but sometimes 29. This is like I before E, except for C. Except sometimes. Anyways, I digress. But first entry I'm going to have in September might be about a guy and his cat. You might have heard about that. But I don't know if I'll be getting to that early or not. But I will be announcing my September reads here very, very soon. I'm kind of still nailing those choices down. But it is going to be a little different for the beginning of fall this year, as spooky season might be creeping ahead a little early this week. Not this week, but this month. I think either next month. Gosh, I am all over the place. It might be a little earlier than just October 1 this year. I think we might be doing first day of fall kind of thing. It's what we do with our movie choices, my wife and I. So maybe that's what I'll be doing with my reads this year. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, finishing Disquiet Guides, that's what I have on tap for this week. How about this week on the channel, guys? It was a mixed results kind of week. I think this week there was two series I'm very, very passionate about. And sometimes when it comes to passion projects, they're really, really good for the creator, maybe not so much for the audience. Stephen King stuff is always hit or miss. Sometimes it does really well, sometimes don't. I know when you're talking about book 6 in a series, it's going to not exactly draw the masses. And then other people are just frustrated that I'm not going into spoilers. So that's a very, very hard video to do. But I did my Into the Multiverse for Song of Susanna. Hope I didn't disappoint too many people with that, because I've been well on record that might be my least favorite Stephen King book of all time. And it's the comparison I made in there was Last Jedi. Now, I don't mean it's like The Last Jedi. I just mean that when I was watching The Last Jedi, I was like, is this, I can't believe they're doing this. Is this really happening? I was wanting to believe again. And if this has got to be a bootleg or something, this is a prank. I'm waiting for, Ashton Kutcher to come out and tell me I've been punked, right? That's kind of how I felt the first time I was reading Song of Susanna, and it's just like, this can't be real. This has to be like some kind of fake copy I got or something. So it was a book that greatly disappointed me. I kind of want to talk about why, and I say it's not going to be universal. I mean, it's a divisive book. I think it was more divisive when it came out than now. It seems like a lot of people's frustrations and annoyances have tempered a little bit. Mine have not. The things that bother me then still bother me now. I felt like it took my escapism away, which is what I loved about the series, my sense of wonder. I felt like it kind of took that away. But again, if you're into the meta commentary stuff, he does a really good job at it, and I wanted to kind of talk about that. So I do like I always do. I talked about what makes it good, what makes it bad. Obviously, for me, it was a lot more bad than good, but I think that's one of those definitely, just like with the Dark Tower overall, your mileage is going to vary on that one. For me, Song of Susanna, big miss. But I am looking forward to talking about Dark Tower number 7 and closing down that for Into the Multiverse here. I did a Why You Should Read. I haven't done a Why You Should Read in a while. And there was one I wanted to kind of talk about because it is getting a new adaptation soon. Talking about the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. Now, this is a series I adore. It was one of those where when I was reading Wheel of Time, when I first started this channel, some of those books just get thicker and thicker and thicker. You need something to kind of cleanse the palate after each one of those. And just talking to viewers back then when I was still a very, very flat, I was like 2,000, 3,000 subscribers back then. I was just asking, what's a really good palate cleanser series? Driss came up a lot, Dragonlance came up a lot. But Dresden Files was one that had been on my radar for a little bit because of my love for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And a lot of people told me that, hey, if you think you like Buffy, you like Angel, you like John Constantine, I think maybe you might like Dresden Files. So Dresden Files was the one that I chose to read in between Big Wheel of Time books. And I started in November 2019, and by September 2020, I had read the whole thing. And then I realized while I was making that video, we haven't gotten a new book since then, have we? Wow. Well, there's a new one coming out in January, but there is a new adaptation coming out for this. And I told people, relax. I know that you guys hold the James Marshall's audiobooks up on a pedestal, and it's art. It shouldn't be messed with. I do know there's a lot of people who only listen to graphic audio, and graphic audio is doing an adaptation of the Dresden Files. And I thought, hey, if this is going to get more people interested in reading one of my top 10 fantasy series of all time, well, I want to talk about it. I think that everybody's read Dresden Files at this point, because as far as a why you should read video goes, this one didn't really do very much business, so to speak. Business was not picking up on it. It's actually gotten more interest on TikTok than on YouTube, which is really, really weird. TikTok is just so different. It's strange. Now, look, the goal is to reach new viewers, obviously, and I think I'm doing that on TikTok, but it's just so different than YouTube. It really is. I mean, breaking news, guys. TikTok is very, very different than YouTube, but it's interesting that some things that resonate greatly on YouTube don't do a lick on TikTok, and vice versa. It really is just like two very, very different audiences. But again, these were two series, The Dark Tower and the Dresden Files, that I wanted to talk about. These are ones I'm very, very passionate about. Both of them are in my 10 favorite fantasy series of all time. So I believe that they deserve to get their own video instead of just being crammed into a weekly update like this. But I hope you guys have it. If you haven't read the Dresden Files yet, I hope that you guys will. I don't think you'll really need a video for me to really push you into reading it. But if I can get even one new person to pick up one of my favorite series ever, I am all for it. And guys, don't worry about the length of the series. Talk about it in that video. Oh, well, people look at it, say 17 books. 18 coming out. I don't know if I could do that. Read them all in under a year, and while I was reading other things, because they are just so addictive. I mean, they really are. Just, you can fly through this series. You really, really can. And again, like I said earlier, where's the race? Who cares how long it takes you? Go ahead and start. I think it'll be worth your while. How about some next week plans, guys? I got some things on tap where I kind of tease a little bit. I'll be talking about my September reading plans a little late. I usually try to get that out about a week before the new month starts. It's going to be a little later this month because I did have some other things, some scheduling conflicts and things that I had to move some stuff around. So I'll be getting that out early in the week, probably Monday or Tuesday. Get that out early, guys. Let you guys know what I will be reading in September. Like I said, I'm still kind of nailing that down, but kind of what I want to do this year is, October is always spooky season where it's just horror. And I think maybe this year I might say something that's kind of horror adjacent, maybe some horror fantasy, some thriller of some sort before we kind of have that lead in into spooky season. And of course, my Ronald Malfi book, because I am actually running out of Ronald Malfi books, you guys. So if you guys have been wanting me to move on from Malfi, I'm almost done. I think I got book number 9 by him coming up here very, very soon. But there will be some other things on there. Some of them I think you guys will be quite thrilled to see, and some that maybe you haven't heard of. And I know that there's one series that I have on there that's a new series to me, and I've heard very few people talk about it, but it is a horror fantasy series I'm really excited to dig into, and we're going to talk about it here this week. I will be having a talk about nothing, not with a booktuber, but with a YouTuber. I'll be talking with Jared Henderson. If you guys don't know, Jared Henderson really is I guess you'd call it a philosophy channel. Yeah, he's a philosopher of some sort. His channel is like 6 times the size of mine. It's huge, and we always have gotten along because he likes to talk about books, but he's like a Philip or Jordan over at iWizard, that he looks at them at a highly philosophical level that I just don't have that brain power to do, and I'm looking forward to picking his brain about that and about what goes into making his content, because we're very different content creators. Clearly, I slap mine together and just throw them out. He takes his time, puts a lot of effort, a lot of outside resources and external help and stuff to get his videos all together, and they're brilliant, and they get like 1 million views. Mine don't do that, So it'll be an interesting meeting of the minds, I do think, and that it'll be kind of like what I said when I talked to Philip, where I feel like I'm learning, but I also feel dumber at the same time. So it'd be an exciting conversation. I do think that'll be out sometime later this week. I'm not doing those live right now. Just too much PTSD after what happened with Joe Abercrombie. I'm just too scared to go live on the channel right now with a guest, because the last thing I want is to ever be in a position again where the guest on the channel has to start hosting a live stream, because StreamYard's going to StreamYard, guys. So look out for that sometime next week. I'll also be a guest over on to Ramble. They actually, Richard and or Austin, I don't know which one actually runs their, I think it's Austin that runs their social media account. Anyway, I don't know where the invite came from, but one of them messaged me on Instagram and asked me if I did want to be a guest on their channel Tuesday night at I think 6:30 Houston time, 7:30 Eastern, and that's United States time, obviously. We'll be talking about kind of what goes into content creation. Now, I'm telling you that, and I don't know if it's live or not, because I know that those guys, they spend a lot of time editing their videos after the fact because their conversations can go so long. So I don't know if that one's going to be live or not, But look out for that here rather soon. I'll make sure that I share a link with it after the video does come out. But again, I'm not sure if that one's going to be live or not. But if you guys aren't subscribed to ℓ𝕬𝕣𝕠𝕜𝕐 already, what are you doing? What are you doing? I say if you take away bots, I think they have a bigger audience than I do. I think so. They're much better at TikTok and Instagram than I am. And I'm learning from them. It's a young man's game. I really do think it is. But those guys hustle, and I'm thrilled they asked me to be on, because that's one of my favorite guest spots ever, was talking on ℓ𝕬𝕣𝕠𝕜𝕐. I had such a blast over there. They're such good kids. And I'm calling them kids now. That makes me feel really, really old. Really, really old. I've had some people ask about the NFL preview that we did last year. It was me and Brian from BellTube, my real-life friend ℚ𝕦, and, of course, Josh from Red Fury Books. We did an NFL preview last year over on Mike's Media Reviews. I've had people ask where to do that. We do plan to do that again. It'll probably be next weekend. We'd like to do the weekend. It's the last weekend where there's no football for the year. That way, right before week 1, the preseason's over. We've got that 1 week break before football starts. But we will be doing that here very, very soon. I think it's such a good time because all 4 of us have different teams that we do root for. And it gives us a nice little view around the league. But we're all just huge NFL fans, so we will be able to talk about that at length, I am sure. But yeah, for people who enjoyed that last year, first, thank you for watching that, because I know that isn't exactly the target demographic here. But if you do love American football, we will be talking about that here soon. I'll give you more details when we do have something actually in stone. That's all I kind of got for the books this week, guys. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things. Sticking with the NFL, I have to talk about this Dallas Cowboys documentary that Netflix has put out called America's Team. It's at The Gambler and His Cowboys. It's about Jerry Jones buying the Dallas Cowboys and all about the 90s dynasty and what happened between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. Now, this was a time where I think the Cowboys were still kind of lovable losers. They were huge in the 70s and the 80s. They were like the laughingstock of the NFL. And when the team got sold to Jerry Jones, the first thing he did is he comes in and he fires Tom Landry. And we're like, oh my God. And they trade Herschel Walker. We're like, what are they even doing over there in Dallas? And of course, they came out like roses because, they won 3 championships in 4 years during a stretch there. So I think regardless of how you feel about the Cowboys, or more specifically, Dallas Cowboys fans, because I know they can be a lot. They are definitely the Yankees fans of the NFL. I can see why that can be annoying, but that is an incredible documentary, especially if you're like me, you've always wondered what went so bad that you would fire a head coach that just won back-to-back Super Bowls. I love watching Jimmy on Fox NFL Sunday. He's one of the best parts. I think he was an amazing coach. And Jerry Jones has just got to be, he's one of one. He is definitely one of a kind. You just look at what's going on between him and Micah Parsons right now, and you see he's cut from a different cloth. And this documentary really does pull back the curtain and show the lowest of the low, the highest of the high, and then the fall from grace that they did have due to a lot of legal things and whatnot. But it's a thrilling documentary. It's another one of those where I say, even if you're not a football fan, you just like drama, man, I think you will love that, just to see what went on between Jerry and Jimmy. Just 2 huge egos clashing and just not being able to get along. It's just, even in the face of great success, these 2 were miserable, it seems like. But really, really great documentary. I hope they keep putting these out. Netflix is putting out some great sports documentaries, and this is one of the best that I have seen. I have to talk about Weapons real fast. Weapons, the new horror movie that's came out. I forget the director's name. He did Barbarian, which I really liked a lot. Had a lot of people, Mike, you're a big horror fan. Why didn't you go see Weapons? And I think this is just kind of a blanket thing for me to talk about movies coming to digital so fast. I don't go to the theater very much anymore. One, look, we've still got young kids. You got to get someone to watch them, or you got to take them, and it costs a boatload. It's not cheap to go to the cinema anymore. So unless it's like an event, like my kid wanted to go see Superman, so we went and saw Superman. I wanted to go see Dune, obviously, on the big screen, because you don't miss that on the big screen. So it's like an occasional thing. Once or twice a year, maybe, I go to the theater anymore. And I feel like now I'm kind of justified at it, because these movies are hitting streaming in like a month. And, I've got a really expensive sound system and TV that I paid for downstairs. I got my own home theater. Who cares if is that as good as the theater? Of course not. But I think it's good enough. If I just wait a month, I can watch it in the comfort of my own home, where the Coke and the popcorn is free. It's just one of those things where it's become kind of frustrating as a movie lover, because, like, look at Superman. Still making money. Still has good legs. It's already out in digital. But, like, Warner Brothers is, like, cutting its feet out from underneath it. So I understand because, if something's popular, you want to get it into more people's hands because there are people who don't have the option to go to the cinema. They might say, hey, I'll rent it for $9 on Apple TV like we did with Life of Chuck last week. That happens. I get it. But Weapons is going to be out in like 5 weeks after it's released. It's going to be out on digital. It makes no sense why these movies are coming out on digital so fast. I understood it during the virus that shall not be named. It made sense. You want more people to be able to see it that don't want to go out. If you're really upset about people not going to theaters anymore, I think people like me now that are saying, well, I'll just wait a month and I'll watch it in the comfort of my own home. Maybe you might want to rethink that. I think Mission Impossible seems to be the only one that's holding it for like 2.5, 3 months even before it does hit home digital or Blu-ray release. Everything else seems like 4 weeks, 5 weeks tops, and it's out on digital. So that's why I haven't seen Weapons yet. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. We're going to put it on our spooky season list this year for October. But that's why I haven't went and seen it. I've heard great things about it, and cool. Like I said, I liked Barbarian a lot. Thought it was a very, very unique and original horror film that I had the likes I hadn't seen in a while. And I'm hoping that Weapons is kind of similar. I've actually heard Weapons is more of a thriller than a horror. But I actually heard one person compare it to Longlegs. I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Longlegs, watch the review of Longlegs on Mike's Media Reviews if you want to see me and my wife completely disagree about a movie. We're going to watch F1 tonight because that did hit streaming. Again, a movie that's making huge money. It's still making money in the cinema, and they released it on digital. Warner Brothers had a very successful year at the box office. They'd have a bigger successful year if they quit releasing the movies on digital while they're still making movie money in the theaters. Now, for all I know, these are agreed upon in advance. But with F1, I've heard awesome things. I don't know anything about Formula One racing. I'm a NASCAR guy. But I've heard the movie's really great. And the comparison I heard was like, it's like Top Gun Maverick if it was Formula One racers. That sounds like an awesome setup for me. So Brad Pitt, I'm usually enjoy a Brad Pitt movie. I mean, I watched Bullet Train last week and really liked it. So I'm expecting F1 to be very good. But guys, that was my week. I'd love to know what you guys are up to. Why don't you go ahead and drop in the comments. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing. There are no wrong answers. So hit me below, guys, and have yourselves an awesome weekend.